overall sentiment about the Lions. Do we expect them to continue where they left off? Maybe
Yeah.
take a small step back potentially?
Yeah, expect them to continue where they left off. They still have not had a healthy Jamison Williams for the entirety of the season here. And then Sam Laporta. Tight ends typically only get better from their rookie year. Typically, it takes them 2 or 3 years for them to hit their peak. And then they also address the corner position. So I do think that their defense is going to be better here in another draft. And they really have not missed on too many draft picks under Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell. So I expect them to get pick up where they left off and continue terrorizing the NFL with grit.
Absolutely. Well, they have a great Sunday night matchup, week one, against the pesky LA Rams in that infamous trade there.
Yeah, they heard all the noise about how the Rams should have beat them there. So I think Dan Campbell pulls up all that bulletin board material. They come out with grit. They come out flying. They come out biting kneecaps and beat the Rams.
Perfect. And then the very next week, they have another game that they um, placed against. They have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers that they host at home.
Yeah, I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers got a little bit worse this offseason. And I think the Lions are just a good matchup. I think Jared Goff continues to torch.
Absolutely. And then they go to Arizona, a game that I might potentially be at, and face the Cardinals.
I will take the Lions to go out there and beat the Cardinals there. Just don't think the Cardinals will be where they want to be yet there with Marvin Harrison Jr. and Kyler Murray. Lions are just a better team.
Absolutely. And then they stay in the West and they face the Seahawks on Monday Night Football.
I have a joke. Seattle Seahawks.
That's a good one. But tis. And I think they beat the Seahawks as well. And then, potentially, a good rematch there. 4 o'clock game. The game that was stolen from them last year, they go to Jerry World and face the Cowboys.
Yeah, I think they go to Jerry World and not only beat the Cowboys, annihilate them.
I love it. I'm here for it.
And also at this point, they still have a winning record. Cowboys typically struggle against good teams, so another reason why they'll win.
Absolutely. And then facing off against the Vikings team that gets kind of bullied by their division. They're in Minnesota at 1 o'clock on a Sunday.
Yeah, I believe they win that game as well here. In the Vikings preview, I had the Vikings losing that game, so we'll stay with that.
Absolutely. So they are undefeated. They have
6-0.
they have not lost to this point. Well, they host Tennessee the following week at 1 o'clock.
They host Tennessee the following week. I think that's where they could have a little bit of a stumble. Tennessee maybe comes in with a surprise there. They lose a game that they shouldn't, and then they fall to 6-1.
All right. And then the very next week, 4 o'clock game, they go to Lambeau. I had them winning in this game down that stretch there.
All right. So they are 7-1 now.
All right. And then Sunday Night Football the very next week, they face the Texans in Houston.
In Houston, tough matchup there, but I will go with the Houston Texans at home to win that game.
All right. So started off really hot, lost the last 2 of the last 3. Well, luckily for them, the very next week, they face off against another cat in the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah, I will have them beating the Jacksonville Jaguars in that game.
All right. And then they go to Indy facing off against AR-15 in the Colts on 1 o'clock.
Yeah, I'll have them beating the Colts as well.
All right.
Moving to 9-3, I believe.
Yep, you had their losing against the Texans and the Titans. So I think they're 9-2 at this point.
9-2. Perfect.
All right. And then 4 days later, after facing the Colts, they have to face Caleb Williams. And we know they have lost the last 6 Thanksgiving games. Can they remove that voodoo and beat the Lions on Thanksgiving?
I think they have to.
Surely, right? You would assume, right?
So they move to 10-2.
Yep. And then back-to-back Thursday night games, this time not on Thanksgiving, against the Packers.
Against the Packers, we had the Packers winning the second one, just like last year when the Packers beat them on Thanksgiving there. So I'll have the Packers still winning that one as well. They move to 10-3.
All right. And then the very next week, 4 o'clock game, facing your beloved Buffalo Bills.
My beloved Buffalo Bills, yeah. I think they win that game pretty handedly.
All right. Understandable there. And then 1 o'clock game, last few weeks of the season, facing off against Caleb Williams.
Against Caleb Williams. I do think they split with the Bears, so I'll have them losing that game.
All right. And this is at Soldier Field as well. So that fits that narrative. And then Monday Night Football, week 17 against the San Francisco 49ers, potential playoff matchup.
Yeah, playoff rematch. Lions looking for revenge. The last wrong they had to right was for Dan Campbell is winning a Super Bowl and avenging all those Thanksgiving losses there. So I think they avenged the Thanksgiving loss and also avenged their conference championship loss as well.
Beautiful. And then they end the season, potentially resting starters, potentially in Detroit, facing off against the Vikings, who are at this point just 5-11 by then.
I will still have them beating the Vikings in that game, and moving to 13-4.
13-4. So better than last year. This would be the best Detroit Lions record of all time.
They should have been 13-4 last year, and I
Yeah,
think that'll be the motivation this year. That'll
absolutely. So we previewed all these games.